Okay, I'm putting a steam valve back together, and what you got to do is you got to take one of these apart. There was an article in the Rolls Royce Silver Cloud Club. By the way, you need to join the RROC because they've got a lot of good information about repairing cars on there. This is a regular radiator cap you can get about anyway, 11228. It's got the right spring in it. So what you want to do, this has got kind of the same concept. You got to have a valve to let pressure in. So this thing comes up. But anyway, what you're after is a spring in there. So you got to cut that off with a Dremel tool and with a cutting blade and get it out. But you're after that spring. And I don't remember where I got that from. I think Albers. But anyway, you get this flat washer. You can take the one on the bottom of this if you want, but it's a little bit bigger in diameter. So what I did is I ordered this online, and it's 1.23 inches in diameter, and then I cut the middle out. And I got a good oil resistance. I forgot what type it was, but I think it was like Vitron material, but it's pretty impervious to anything. But it's a soft material, so it seals off. You know, I use Evans waterless in my cars, which brings up an interesting subject because there is no pressure with them. So these valves let air in and out, and if you overheat your car, everything expands on the inside, and you got to let a bunch of steam out. And well, with the modern Evans waterless stuff, you really don't get that anymore because it doesn't expand and it doesn't boil like that. But I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. I'm going to clean my hands off here a tad. But what I've done is I've used some Ultra Black, and I've cleaned up all my steam valve parts. They just pop apart. I'll show you how you pop them back together, but they pop apart. And I'm going to get that down in there here in a second. Okay, I've got that in there, and you'll notice I've wiped that off real good. Now the second one I'm going to put in there and use a little bit more Ultra Black is this one I cut down, and once again I've just got a rubber flat washer, and oil resistant, not that Evans bothers anything. But that's got to go around the little lip in there. So, I've got that cut to fit in there just perfectly. But that's where the air lets you back in. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Shit happens, I guess. There she came. But anyway, I'm going to glue that in. I'm going to wipe it off to make sure it didn't fall in anything. And I'm going to glue that in, as I said, with the Ultra Black. So I'm going to put a little bit of... I try not to get any of it on the upper side because I don't want my other air intake thing to... very careful not to get any on the upper side there. And I'm going to wipe my fingers real good before I press it in there, because if you get a big lump of that up on top, it's not going to seal right. So I'm going to push that in there, let that seal, and I'm going to let that dry overnight. I'm not going to put any component in there because what I don't want to happen is these things to get glued on with silicone sealant Okay, assembling this steam valve after you get your little pieces of rubber in there with the Ultra Black. By the way, I put my Ultra Black in a Ziploc bag and get as much air out of it as I can. Every time you open one of those, when you come back to it a couple of weeks later, they seem to be hard. But anyway, basically this is the seal that lets air in, and it goes down. The spring wants to sit in it a natural way, so the curved area goes down there and the spring goes in. Okay, and then this cap goes on it. And you got to make sure these rings around here don't have any pits in them or clean, but you want to make sure you get that spring. It wants to sit in the middle of the ridge on the back side of that. And you get it in there right like that. And the spring out of that modern, you put it in there like that, get it on there like that. Now this just pops in there. If you push it real good, I may have to get a hammer and whack it, but let me get a little hammer. And, it just pops in there like that, and to pop them out, you just get something and go in that hole on the side. But that's basically rebuilt. And you can blow in each end, and you can tell if it's sealed. You got to put your whole mouth over the edge of this, but anyway, that's rebuilt. You put it in with a gasket, which I got from Replacement Parts, I believe. And the other thing that happens here is I put Evans coolant in the car. It does not expand, so people will say, well, how am I sure that spring's going to give me that 7 pounds of pressure or so that, it was originally designed for? And I don't know. I tested one at one time, and it was about 8 pounds of pressure before it let off. But anyway, I use that Evans. It doesn't expand, so you don't have the issues, and you don't have a lot of overheating issues with it. So I highly recommend it. If you got an old engine, it may come out. It's not, it doesn't have the whatever cohesion of water, so it's more like an oil, it seems like. So it'll come out of your engine in places if it doesn't have good seals in it. But if you got a good engine, it'll cool it down great.